Well, Shep, we're still awaiting Greg's arrival from South Africa.
Well, the rumor is he's not coming back until people forget about his predicting Atlas in Superliga.
Yeah, 0 goals in 3 games for them. But for us, we're talking about a 5-goal roller coaster ride next on Extra Time. Hey everybody, I'm Jason. With me as always is Shep Messing. What a crazy week it was for U.S. soccer, beating Spain and then nearly upsetting Brazil on Sunday. I got a good question via Twitter yesterday from 314 guy, and he says, do you think the U.S. losing in the finals keeps us under the world radar, Shep?
Well, 314 guy, I don't know what Twitter is, but I don't think it keeps the U.S. under the radar screen. Certainly, if you talk to Italy, if you talk to Brazil, if you talk to Spain, they no longer want to play the U.S. national team.
And those are some of the biggest teams in the world. I would definitely agree with you in saying I think we were close to their radars, at least at that point. And if not, now we're certainly on their radar. Nobody's going to take us lightly. This game and really this whole tournament was a huge learning experience for the U.S. national team, Shep. So tell me, what comes out of this for them? You know, how do they grow from this?
I think it's a great story. It's a great comeback. And for Bob Bradley and this U.S. team collectively, I think they gained a lot of confidence. They went toe-to-toe with arguably in Brazil the best national team in the world, smoked them in the first half, and the lesson they learn will be what happened in the second half.
Yeah, and I think one of the things they're definitely learning is that they can compete with any team in the world. It's just going to take that supreme effort, that, you know, full 10 guys on the field chasing the ball, defending together. And to me, that's the thing that I think we learned, is that we can compete with any team in the world, but it's going to take a full effort to do so.
Yeah, Jason, one of the things at a high level when you're talking about national teams, a competition like Confederations Cup, is just that. And it comes from Bob Bradley to instill in the players that you have to compete, not just each half, but every minute, every second on the field. You need that kind of intensity. You need that kind of focus. You need that determination. You need individual performances. And there were a bunch of great ones. Tim Howard, Landon Donovan, Ricardo Clark, Benny Feilhaber, Josie Altidore did well. I mean, the list goes on, but can you do it every minute for 90 minutes?
All right, so you bring up 2 points that I wanted to touch on. The first being coaching and Bob Bradley. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Bob Bradley's a bad coach. I think what he's done for our national team is phenomenal.
Okay,
I'm not saying that, but I do want to give a critique that I saw personally. When I'm looking out there and I'm seeing Josie Altidore in, let's say, the 55th, 60th minute, he's tired. He's not necessarily fighting for balls that he was fighting for in the first half. When you're playing a team like Brazil, you need everybody defending. You need the forwards pressuring their back line, make them take a couple extra seconds, couple extra touches with the ball, let your team set up behind it. I wasn't seeing it by the 60th minute. I'm looking at Josie and I'm saying, you know, he's spent. He's played all these games. Get him out of there. Get somebody else in.
And Jason, that's why the word fan is a derivative of fanatic. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but trust me, Bob Bradley knew exactly what he was doing. When Brazil came out in the first minute of the second half and scored that goal to get him back in the game, Bradley didn't want to take out Josie Altidore and switch formations. He was trying to wait. So Josie Altidore is 19 years old. Was he beaten up? Was he physically tired? He's got to play through that. And for Bradley, he doesn't want to make that tactical switch in the 46th minute.
I understand what you're saying, but you're not necessarily making that tactical switch because you're putting in a midfielder with some legs and you're pushing Dempsey up front. And Dempsey was successful up front. He can play as a second forward.
It has been shown, and Bob Bradley finally has a comfort level in terms of where best to play Landon Donovan, where best to play Clint Dempsey, both running out of the midfield, not as a second striker up top.
But in every game in this tournament, he moved Dempsey up to as a forward by the end of the game, or towards the end of the tournament that he was doing that. So what I'm saying is, you got to get fresh legs out there. You got to have everybody moving for the ball. If you have Josie out there and he doesn't have that energy and he doesn't have that vigor left, you have to take him off the field. I just think we need to be on top of that because against a team like Brazil, you don't have that extra minute or two to slack off. they're going to burn you.
Listen, ridiculous to be second-guessing Bob Bradley's substitution pattern. He did an unbelievable job with this team, and what he needs is 10 more Landon Donovans playing at that level. Landon Donovan was an inspired player.
Right.
Really competed in this entire tournament, created out of the midfield, tracked back and defend, and his kind of energy, I think, affected in a positive way the whole team. So great performance by the U.S., and I'm almost happy. It sounds stupid, but I think it's a better result that they lost the game. I think if they win the game against Brazil, maybe unrealistic sense of how good they are or not.
Right, I certainly understand that argument. I've heard it from a couple different people, and I guess I can kind of agree with it, although I would have obviously loved to see them win. But let me ask you this. Can they take that effort that they gave against Egypt and Spain and Brazil in those last 3 games and come up with that effort every time they get on the field, whether they're playing Honduras or El Salvador or Spain or Argentina? I feel like you don't see that effort against, I mean, even against Mexico. Yeah, they're busting their butts, but it's not the same effort that we saw against Brazil and Spain when we're playing Honduras and Costa Rica.
Jason, what happens at the national team level in general, but for the U.S. team in particular, as you get better, you have ebbs and flows where you think you're too sophisticated. We're not sophisticated enough as a national team to sit back, play tactically, defend, stay organized, and counter. So lackadaisical is the wrong word, but in this tournament, we found out, starting with a game against Egypt, when the U.S. had to play with intensity, attack, get 3 goals, continued against Spain, played that way against Brazil in the first half. That's the better result for the U.S. team.
Yeah, hopefully we do keep that up as we go. Let me ask you one last question. After watching that tournament, is there a certain, aspect of the national team program that you think is something that we should key on over the next year to improve going into 2010, whether it's the depth or, certain position?
I think there's always an issue of depth. If you're Bob Bradley going into South Africa 2010, you're looking for more depth in the roster. I also think he's still looking to find who that target striker is going to be. Will Josie Altidore get a full year playing club soccer in Europe and become that player? Will it be Brian Ching? Will it be Connor Casey? Who is that target striker? Charlie Davies, I think, really got on everybody's radar screen the last couple of games.
For me, it's definitely the center back position. I think we know that our 1 and 2 is fine. Who's our 3 and 4 when we go to South Africa?
Not left back?
Well, I'm saying Bocanegra's moving out left. So, but is Chad Marshall going to step up? Is it a younger guy who isn't really on the radar yet? I think we'll find out. That's all the time we have for you today. Tomorrow, we're looking at MLS action. What teams are rising and falling in July?